Was good, was good, was good, was good, was happening, man. Oh, you, you gotta be sick sometimes, man. You have to be sick to your stomach sometimes. But yo, real quick, man, it's your brother outside the cube, and you tuned into Just Defense, and I want to cover a story that I didn't even know exists until a little while ago about the brother Tiki Barber and the way how he defended the New York Giants. I wanted to talk about that, man. And you know, he's a former player of the New York Giants. And see, this is the weird thing to me, especially, you know, when you introduce the black dynamic. You have one particular person who have dealt with people of a different race excuse me, and all of the dealings that this particular person have had with this particular group of people from this particular race have always been good or stellar. So what they begin to do is they begin to transpose and say, you know what, it must be like this for everybody. But in actuality, that's not how it works. It's not how it works. This group of people may love you. They may enjoy being around you. You guys may have a great time together. But this same group of people may also hate the people who you share a race with. And it always puzzles me, especially when black people fall into these pockets. It's always weird. Now, I'll tell you, I'm a person who I say, okay, you're this race, you're that race, okay, whatever. I deal with people on a people level because I don't have enough money. I don't own corporations to deal with people any other way. So when I deal with people, it has to be a person to person type of ordeal with me. That's just what it is. But I want to play a few of his comments. I want to break a few of these things down. And I also want to listen to what the brother Chris Broussard and the brother Rob Parker from The Odd Couple from Fox Sports and how they broke it down, because they said so many things that just made so much sense. And for this brother to be as old as he is, to not be able to understand, comprehend, or even conceptualize some of these things, I thought it was quite weird. And when things are a little bit weird, that tells you a lot. So I'm gonna go ahead and get into the video, and we'll go from there. So let's go.
I know them intimately, so when I say I don't believe they're racist, it's because I know they're not. And yeah, maybe they don't have the right head coach, the black head coach.
Yo, it's unfortunate I gotta stop it so soon. You don't know if anybody's racist or not. You don't know it. And you definitely don't know it by the way how they treat you. You don't know if anybody is racist. Listen, I said anybody. That goes for black, white, Hispanic, whatever. You don't know if anybody is racist based on the basis of how they treat you. You don't know that. You don't know that. The only thing that you can say is, I haven't noticed any racist undertones. That's the only thing that you can say. So when black people say these things, oh man, like, you know, I haven't experienced any racism from these people. Let me say this and I'm gonna continue the video. There's so many stories out there to where you will have a black man and a white woman and a black man, to where their parents of these white people would be gracious, would be amazing family members to the black person that comes in. But then on the other hand, they'll treat other black people like garbage. They become Karens. We see them on TV and stuff like that. So when a black person says this, it always makes me look at them with the side eye. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Because what a lot of people don't understand is that racism is an evolution of tribalism. That's really all it is. Racism is an evolution of tribalism. Once upon a time, we were in tribes, and I don't say that to say that just talking about black people, white people too, Indians, what have you. We all had tribes, and then we had neighboring tribes. So when you have a group of people who coalesce and they all deal with each other, they'll accept a person in from somewhere else, depending on the circumstances. But then that same person that they accept, they'll still hate everybody that you come from, because you're not a part of their culture. You're not a part of their tribe. And see, people don't understand that. But let me just play a little bit more of this. Hey, FM, man, what's good, man? He said, what up, Q? I let some other folks from TD's channel know about you. Hey, man, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it, man. I try to keep it 100. I try to keep it real here. And I don't pull no punches for nobody. But yeah, let me rewind this and I'm going to get into it. Gotta get into it.
I know them intimately. So when I say I don't believe they're racist, it's because I know they're not. And yeah, they don't have the right head coach, the black head coach, even though there's black players. They don't have a black general manager or a black coordinator. I know they're not a racist organization. And so for Dwayne to try to boil me into saying something that's not true, it's frustrating because you don't know my truth. And you don't.
Here we go. You don't know my truth. Bro, I can say the same thing to you about them. You don't know their truth. Tiki, or Mr. Barber, I'd rather say. You don't know their truth. They may like you, but dislike everybody else who's black. Not saying that they do, but like, come on. You make no sense when he speaks.
Don't know my interactions with this Giants organization.
All right, Rob.
We don't know your interaction. Notice how he focuses and hones in on my interaction, my dealings, my truth. Bro, listen. Nobody can ever come to you and say, hey, man, I think they treated you racist here. No, because they probably didn't. But how can you then go on to say they can't be racist and they never treated anybody else that way? How can you ever say that? You can't say that, Mr. Barber. You can't. But let me continue here because these brothers broke it down very well. So I want y'all to listen to it too, and I'll stop it intimately.
Chris, I'm going to say this, and I'm not. Yeah, I'm just going to. I'm going to go for this. Shame on Tiki Barber. Shame on Tiki Barber. I'm glad you got so passionate and so worked up about defending the Maras. And whether or not, I'm not here to call them racist, Chris, or whatever you want to say. But it's been 100 years in this league of unfair and disgraceful hiring practices. Even so bad that they had to implement a rule called the Rooney Rule, which would force white owners to even interview black people.
And see, let me stop it right there, because what's so crazy about the Rooney Rule is that this is something that was just implemented approximately 20 years ago. So I wouldn't even put the stain of 90 years on them. I wouldn't do that. And I'm being as objective as I can. I wouldn't put the stain of 90 years because we know out of that 90 years, 70 of them, they wouldn't have never interviewed a black coach because they didn't have to. But you know, the brother, what's his name? Acho? Yeah, I forget his name. He's on the show Speak for Yourself. And what he said was, which was very, very telling. He said, over the past 20 years or so, since the Rooney Rule, he said that the Giants have interviewed 2 minorities in 1 year, 1 time. They've interviewed 2 minorities 1 time in the same span. And then he went further to say, if you're being forced to do something, you're gonna give it. You're not gonna give it your all. And if you don't give it your all, that means that it's not what you want to do in the first place. So what you're always gonna see is, oh, we hired the best guy for the job. And I need to pull up that quote. That the Giants responded with today. It was so disgusting. But let me let this finish out. It was disgusting.
To interview him, Chris, you know why?
Right, not to hire him.
Not to hire them, to interview them, because coaching cycles went on and on and on, and people were hired, and guess what? No black people were even interviewed. I'm glad you're so emotional for the Maras. I wish you were that emotional for the plight of the black coaches. But Brian Flores doesn't matter to you. Neither does Eric Bieniemy or Byron Leftwich. Okay?
He's right about that. These other black coaches don't matter. Because you know what he puts, Mr. Barber? You know what he puts at the forefront? He has to defend the Maras and the Giants. He has to defend them. Why? Because he's had a great experience. He's discounting everything else and has to put his experience at the forefront. He's putting his experience at the forefront. Well, let me ask you this, Mr. Barber. If you went to, let's say, a eatery, and you had a terrible experience, but everybody else, they had no problem. Should we now then listen to you about your terrible experience? Or should we just close our ears to what you have to say and just listen to everybody else who had a great experience? And look at you like, bro, we don't care. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. He wants us to close our eyes, look the other way, and say, you know what? I've had a great experience. They can't be racist. Brother, unfortunately, that's not how it works, bro. And the sad part about it is that you know that. We don't even have to look into the race portion of it. We can go on Google. We can go to where they rate businesses. When people talk about how when they had a bad experience. If I were to go to try to look at the ratings of my local Five Guys or whatever the case may be, should I only look at the good ratings? I shouldn't look at the bad ratings, right, Mr. Barber? I should just say, you know what? Well, they had a good experience. They had a good experience. Why should I look at the bad experiences that people had? This is what you're saying, Mr. Barber. This is exactly what you're saying. But let me let the video continue. And I have to stop it intermittently, for DMCA purposes.
What you got to do is go out of your way to talk about how they treat you. Smoke screen the story. Steal the story. Be mad because people aren't happy about the Giants' hiring practices. That's right. Protect that suite and the party invite and the Christmas party, Chris, and the giveaways and all that. Tiki doesn't care. You know why? He has a comfy, cozy media job.
And you know what? I'm just gonna go out and say it, man. And you know it is what it is. In the black community, we call that cooning, man. We call it cooning. You may not like it, you may not understand it, you may not even respect it if you are a black person to hear me say it, but that is cooning. That's exactly what it is. Because what you're willing to do is sacrifice the experiences of others just to continue to receive the things that you're receiving from this family and or this organization. And I say no, brother. Stand up, call it out. You're not gonna forever be here. What about the people that's gonna come behind you? What about those people that's going to live 50, 100, 150 years from now? What about those people? Nah, I'm sorry.
Chris, he's not in the coaching ranks. He don't need a gig. Did he think for 1 minute about that? Brian Flores gave up his coaching career at 41. You're not going to take that guy seriously? Chris, it wasn't on his way out at 65 where he drops a bomb and walks out knowing he's never going to coach again? Right. Think about that.
Right.
That's where you should be. And this league, I would have loved. I didn't hear the whole show. I doubt Tiki Barber talked about guy after guy, Chris, where black coaches are overlooked. They got better resumes, more experience, probably played in the league, and these young white guys who don't have any of their experience or resume gets hired.
See, that's the thing for me. That's it for me. Because this brother is not even looking at the merit. He's not looking at it saying like, you got a guy at 41 who's willing and saying, you know what? I'll throw away my coaching career so this doesn't continue to happen. He doesn't even think for a second. Like, wow, why is this guy willing to throw away his coaching career to make change? Do you know the age that Malcolm X died? Do you know the age that Martin Luther King was assassinated at? Do you know the age that Medgar Evers was assassinated at? Do you know the age of a lot of these freedom fighters? These people were in their 30s and 40s. Over and over and over, they chose to give it up. But Tiki Barber wants to tell us, nah, they've been good to me. They've been good to me. But okay, Tiki, let's level here. Mr. Barber, they've been great to you. And I'm 100% sure through their philanthropy and things like that, they've been great to other people also. But what about the people that they haven't been so great to? Do you want to talk about that? Do you want to talk about some of their business practices? Oh, you don't want to talk about that, right? Because if we begin to talk about that, the invites no longer come in for the Christmas parties. You're no longer invited on the weekends to play golf. They no longer send those $100,000 checks for your little organizations that you may have that you take 30% off to the top of. Maybe, could be. It's like, come on, bro. There's people who have given up way more than you, Mr. Barber. And for you to sit here and not just want to speak the truth, not your truth, as you said, the truth. Because your truth is, they've been nothing but great, gracious, respectful to you. I'll give you that. But what about the truth? The truth is, within 90 years, which 75 of those, I'm not even going to contest. But for the past 25 years, and you guys changing, not you guys, excuse me, because you don't own a fucking thing. For the past 25 years, to where the Giants are changing coaches every 3 to 4 years, you mean to tell me they're not even trying to hire anybody that don't look like them? Come on, Mr. Barber, you can't be that crazy. You can't be that crazy, Mr. Barber. Let me let this finish. Damn, we already 20 minutes in. Oh, man.
Over and over. This. The reason we're here, and what I mean here, this lawsuit and how people feel, is because of former players and guys like Tiki Barber. They're enablers.
Yep.
Every time something comes up, Chris, they run to protect those guys, the offenders. oh, they're a good guy. I don't know what you're talking about. No, it's their track record we're talking about, not them personally and how you feel about them or how they treated you. That's what we got, Chris, during the Black Lives Matter. It's about the flag. It's about the flag. Let's throw the smoke screen. Let's get people worked up. It's about the flag. It was never about the flag. And it's not about how they treat you, Tiki Barber. You got it wrong.
And this is what Tiki Barber doesn't understand. It's not about how they treat you, bro. It's not about how they treat you. Think about it. If we begin to judge people just off of how they treated you. What if your wife, you love her to death, she loves you to death, she treats you amazing, but everybody else she treated like sugar honey iced tea? Should we then discard the way how everybody feels about her because of the way she treats everybody else and only go on what you say? Brother, it doesn't work like that. And deep down, you know it doesn't work like that. But let me just try to get through a little bit more of this. Because we're already 21 minutes in. I was trying to make this like 15 minutes, but it ain't going to happen.
Stick to the effing topic at hand. It's about we got 8 coaches or so been hired already this year. No black coaches.
Raji? How many is it now?
7 or 8.
No, I mean, how many coaches have been hired? Not
Something
black,
like
period. 6 now? 6, okay, and none black.
So 6, and there's 3 left.
Right.
And if Tiki has to go to bat, Chris, and say they're not racist, oh, it must be because of the way they treated him. And here's my other problem. I'm sorry. I get former athletes, what they bring to the table. But stop listening to these guys when it comes time to defend their school, their former coaches, their owners, or whatever.
Man, Rob is basically saying here, stop fucking cooning. Stop protecting these establishments who may treat you well, but don't give a fuck about anybody else. This is what he's saying. And excuse my language, this is what Rob is saying. Yes, there is good in everybody. But when the evil shows its ugly head, point it out. Point it out. And if you're unable to do that, move the fuck out of the way. And let the people who have the nuts to point it out. Because you know deep down, bro, that this is what it is. And it's sad. But you know what? I'm going to leave it right there. And you guys, I'm going to leave the link to the actual video. But man, yeah, I saw this, man, and I was just like, what? Really? It makes no sense to me, man. But yeah, you already know, man. Just the fans, I had to vent on this real quick. Man, these guys, man. But you already know what it is, man. It's your brother Outside the Cube. Peace.